Let me start with asking you, as an economist, an economic historian, how bad is it?
It's looking really bad. I mean, one has a sort of professional skepticism about claims to novelty as a historian. But I think into the first or second week of this, we had to give those up. As soon as the American unemployment numbers came rolling in over the last 5 weeks, these extraordinary 3.3 million, 6.6 million people signing on for unemployment benefit. And now we're in the fifth week of numbers, each one of which would have just simply been unthinkable at the beginning of this year. We've had to abandon that sense that we really know how to navigate this territory, that this is familiar ground at all. The negative oil price is another symptom of really the radical nature of this shock. The huge withdrawal of funding from the emerging markets globally, which again is unprecedented in its breadth and scale. And then the numbers that are beginning to come out of global organizations like the ILO, which monitors labor relations globally. You don't normally operate on that scale, but because this shock is happening to everyone simultaneously, we need somebody to tell us the global labor market picture. They think 2.7 billion people currently are trying to work and earn a living under conditions of lockdown. That's 81% of the global workforce. It just hasn't been anything like that. 1.3 billion kids furloughed out of education at this point. An entire generation that wherever they meet for the rest of their lives around the world will be able to look at each other and say, well, what happened to you at that moment? Of course, the experience will be radically different in, a slum in urban Africa or Manhattan private school. But nevertheless, everyone will have that shock in common. This is really new territory that we're in.
Putting your hat on in terms of assessing the economic policies that have been put into place so far, and some of that has been developed world, and certainly those are the biggest numbers we're looking at. But we're starting to see from Brazil, for example. We're starting to see from South Africa, for example, some pretty significant fiscal packages as well. How would you assess early stage?
I mean, we've never seen anything like. We're seeing fiscal moves around the world. In Europe, the Germans stepping across the famous line of the black zero and the debt brake. Very substantial fiscal stimulus there. And then flanking that and enabling it, because you can't do the fiscal stuff unsupported because bond markets will freak out. This is where it really gets sort of utterly mind-bending. I mean, the Fed in late March was buying $1 million of assets a second. I first stumbled over that and went to my computer and multiplied up the seconds. Yes, it's absolutely spot on. It's like $90 billion a day in assets. That's what Ben Bernanke's Fed was buying in a month. The questions for me are all about the medium-term time horizon, right? In a crisis, everyone's the Keynesian. And in an election year in the United States, the GOP is all on board too, right? And they've got their man in the White House. So there's no need to cause any embarrassment to anyone. And that makes a huge difference to 2009, right? In 2009, this same political party voted almost to a man against a stimulus, which was half the size. The question really is, what are the political implications and what is our capacity to digest the consequences of this 18 months from now? And how explosive is that going to be?